And welcome into Lincoln. I'm your ever so gracious host, Sean Wheat. So glad you're with us today. And I am joined by the one, the only, the man of the morning. Not so much anymore. Brad Anderson, good evening instead of good morning to you. How you doing?
Good evening. Yeah, still trying to find ways to stay up past 8 o'clock.
I was going to say, is that what your normal bedtime was?
Yeah, that's usually what time I'd get ready to go to bed, 8:30. So I wake up by 2:30. So yeah.
So to give you an idea and also to give everybody the idea out there of what Lincoln's all about, Lincoln is about linking people within Lincoln and just talking. It's a conversation. It's about having a conversation and getting to know people around the area, community events around the area, community-based stuff. And we need to know our chief meteorologist, especially our new chief meteorologist, the guy you're going to see in the evenings, most evenings. And that's why we wanted to bring on Brad, just because it's all about getting to know you, getting to know all about you, as the song goes, right?
That's right.
So we're going to get to know Brad. But before I always do my segments, I started off with segment number one. We talk about something interesting happening in the area, and it's oddly enough weather.
Yeah.
And then the second segment, that's when we're going to go into the talking about you and your role as chief meteorologist. And then our third segment, we're going to have a top five, and a very interesting top five today, to say the least, because I'm having a little bit of fun with it. I'm stealing from David Letterman because you steal from the best, right?
Well, of course.
And David Letterman did a skit, I think, 15 years ago. And it's the top five things you never want to hear a meteorologist say. So you're going to want to stick around for that one. But
Well, he did weather in Indiana before he got famous. Yeah, he was.
Holy moly!
I don't know how long he did it for, but he was a weathercaster. I'm not sure what station it was, but I know he was from Indiana, and yeah, he did that before he started doing all the other things that he did.
So you've learned from the best, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
David Letterman himself. You've
That's
learned
right.
from David Letterman. I mean, we got Johnny Carson here. You get the weather guy from David Letterman.
That's right.
I love that. All right, so we're going to do that. But before we do anything, we're going to talk about the top headline, the top interesting headline. And I think it's going to be the top interesting headline right now because fall is here, and that's made it very apparent. But tomorrow is going to be a complete shift from what we've seen, from fall-like temperatures to basically winter hitting us in the nose.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've kind of really had a mild fall. We've seen a couple of cold snaps that brought some freeze conditions across the state, but this is kind of our first real blast of cold air for the season. So yeah, we're talking about changes, temperatures. High temperatures on Saturday will probably occur in the morning or maybe late morning, early afternoon, and then the cold air, falling temperatures. We're really not looking for a lot of precipitation. I think kind of the best chance for any kind of accumulating snowfall would be across portions of far northern and northeast Nebraska, and that's only going to be an inch or two. So this is not a big snow maker or ice maker, but just kind of windy and sharply colder, especially as we head into Saturday night, Sunday night. Sunday will be sunny, but cold with 30s and 40s. And then I think Sunday night, we're talking about lows in the teens for a lot of locations, including the Lincoln area.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that. But no accumulating snow. We shouldn't be worried about the accumulation of anything.
Certainly not in Lincoln. Again, far northeast Nebraska might see a little bit of a dusting to maybe a couple of inches, but it would be a good thing to do maybe at least tomorrow before it gets too cold. Maybe disconnect those hoses from the outside faucets. If you haven't done so already, I don't know if you can do it that fast, but get those underground sprinklers flushed out as well. So just kind of prepare, because the cold temperatures really kind of hit Saturday night, Sunday, and then Sunday night again will be a real cold night. But the good news is, I can't leave without saying good news. This is going to be very, very short-lived, because by Tuesday, Veterans Day, we could be back up into the 60s in the afternoon.
I know, I saw that. That's just nice. I'm looking forward. This is what I don't like about this time of the season are the ups and the downs. So the up and down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready for it to be one set of temperatures. Just keep it that way. But that's just not how it works.
Yeah, especially in fall in Nebraska, fall and spring as well. You get these huge ranges and temperatures from time to time. So yeah, we're in that time of year now where we can have some very nice weather and it can get much colder. Those up and down temperatures are going to be with us, I think, at least for the next few days. And then it actually stays kind of mild in the 60s for much of next week. So we won't be going up and down too much. Just one, on a roller coaster ride, we're going to go sharply down and then go back up and just kind of stay up for a while.
All right, you heard it from the man himself, the Chief Meteorologist 1011, Brad Anderson. Of course, we are going to talk a little bit more about weather here in a second, and again, the top 5. So what we got to do now is we got to take a quick break, and when we come back from our break, we're going to get to know Brad a little bit better, and then, as I said, talk about the weather. So that's all coming up here in just a moment on Lincoln Lincoln. Don't go anywhere. Got to hit those mute buttons, right? Welcome back to Lincoln Lincoln. I'm Sean Wheat along with Brad Anderson. And I usually put up a little title here, but you know who he is. And you really don't need to know who I am because he's my special guest co-host today. And so it's been there's been a lot of changes here at 1011 over the past basically month.
Yeah.
And one of them being the retirement of Ken Shimmick. And I still plan on having him on my show at some point, but the man is enjoying in retirement so much he's ignoring my calls, which I don't blame him one bit. But he said he's going to be either on the 7th, which is today, or the 21st. So Ken, I'm keeping you to it. You said that either one of those dates, so I'm keeping you to it. But for you, how long have you been doing mornings?
I did morning for 27 years.
Holy macaroni.
27 years, that's right. I started here at 1011 in 1995. I did the weekends for about 3 years and then took over the morning show in 1998.
And so when you started doing mornings, I've done mornings. I mean, who hasn't in the television industry? You got to kind of have to do mornings before you get to the good stuff, or you get to the good stuff and then you got to go back to mornings. It depends on how well you are at your job, right? So when it came to doing mornings, what did your average day? What time would you wake up to come into work, and then what time would you have to go to bed?
Well, usually it was about 2:45. I'd set the alarm, and I did not have any kind of snooze because that would upset my wife to have that going off 5, 10, 15 times to try to wake up. So it was just one alarm, and I had to get up. And so then I'd get here about, I only live about 10 minutes away, 10 minutes away from the station. So I'd usually get here about 3:15, 3:20 or so, and then prepare for the morning show, which would start at 5 o'clock, go from 5 to 7. Then we do CBS morning show that we do the weather cut-ins, and we did that till about 9 o'clock. In 2015, we started the Pure Nebraska Daily Show. So
Great show.
Yeah, I started doing weather for that. Has been doing that for 10 years, and then worked for the noon show, get that done. Usually got home by 1 o'clock, would take a little afternoon nap, and then I was at least up to be with the kids and the wife, and then I'd start getting ready for bed between about 8:30. So that was just kind of a typical day.
And now it's changed, but your kids are grown,
180,
right?
yes.
And so you don't have to worry about spending the evenings with them unless it's obviously a family event. But
Right.
They've grown. You are been doing this for a while, but you get into that routine. Your body clock just kind of sets itself. And I need to put myself on camera if I'm going to talk too, right? I teach people how to run these things all across the country, and I can't run it myself. I love it. But you kind of get into that routine. Your body clock says, I know this is what time I've got to go to bed. I know this is what time I've got to wake up. And then now you have to switch it all around. How has that adjustment been?
Well, it's been slow. I mean, I haven't really noticed anything quite yet. I mean, it does kind of feel like by the time, about this time, 8:30, I start feeling a little tired, like it's saying like, "Shouldn't you be going to bed?" And maybe I'll have a little tea or something, and that gets me through the 10 o'clock. So the first week I think has been okay. I did catch a cold. I did have a bit of a coughing attack on the 10
I saw
o'clock
that
show.
last night.
Yeah, on the a couple of days ago. That was nice. But other than that, it's been a pretty good week, and the weather has been kind of calm, so there hasn't really been anything too crazy to adjust anything to. So, it's a slow process, and this week maybe it's going to take another week or so before I really kind of find the rhythm that you get into. So,
Well, we've got
yeah.
our first comment. First of all, Zola Johnson, she says, "Brad, you are great." So your viewers are following.
Yes, Zola. I know that she's a Facebook follower, and I'm just saying. So, hello, Zola. Thanks for checking in there this evening.
That's what I love about doing Facebook Lives. I know we don't do a lot of them because we want you to watch on our stream, but I'm doing a couple of these shows on Facebook Live so people know that the show is here, and you can comment too, and we're reading the comments as they happen live, which is fun.
Yep.
We're also on YouTube, so if you want to comment on YouTube, you're more than welcome to. But so back to you. So you got sick a little bit. You're still feeling that need to go to bed, but you're finding your ways of staying up. And
Yeah.
I know you enjoy the theater too. How would you be able to fit in? Because I've seen your posts where you're either at the lead or you're going to some theater for some type of event. I mean, are you a big theater buff?
I mean, I try to go to as many shows as I can. I mean, it was again having to wake up so early for a long period of time. There, it was hard to get shows because a lot of times I'd have to maybe take the next day off, especially if the show, whether it was a concert or a production, was going until 10:30 or 11 o'clock.
Right.
Especially when I got older. When I was younger, I'd say, okay, I can maybe survive with 3 hours of sleep. But now, it's in the last 10 years or so, I've been like, okay, I'm going to take the next day off. So, so we try to go to as many shows as we can.
And so now, what you said, concerts, shows. This is about getting to know you, just in case some folks didn't wake up early enough to see you on the morning show, but they watched you in the evenings. Now they watch you in the evenings or knew of you because you were doing severe weather coverage, whatever it may be. What type of shows do you like to go to? What type of things do you experience when you go to the theater?
I mean, I kind of like go to some of the classics. Like earlier this year, we went to Annie. My wife was a fan of the Annie production when she went to it when she was a kid, so I thought we'd go to that. So that was a lot of fun. Just recently when the lead had Jesus Christ Superstar.
Good show.
That was a good one. The Lincoln Community Playhouse, they did a production earlier this year of Fiddler on the Roof. So far, anytime like maybe some of the classics come, I like to try to go and see some of those. But I've seen some of the new ones as well.
Okay, we've got another message here on Facebook from Dolores Stewart saying, "Miss you in the morning, but enjoy your evenings. Hope you are adjusting." So
Slowly but surely, Dolores, we are adjusting. Yes, and that's that was one of those bittersweet moments about the morning show. It's such a great audience. The viewers were always great. And working with Megan and Craig, even though they've only been here a year and a half, they just became like we were a great team, and so I do miss that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a new challenge and time to look forward, right?
I mean, it almost becomes a family with the coworkers. That I mean, there's always that niche of we're not coworkers, we're a family. But in all honesty, when you work on a show for so long, and the people that come in and do the show with you, they're like a family because you get to know them. You get to know about their kids and their spouses and so on and so forth. And that's what's great about working in this industry. I mean, I've been in television for almost 25 years now. And I've worked on shows, I've worked in newsrooms, and I have some of the greatest friends from those experiences. And I'm sure it's just like that for anybody. I mean, some people just go to work because they want a paycheck. Other people go to work because they enjoy it. And I think a lot of more people who go to work because they enjoy it find great relationships inside work that also extend to outside work. And that's what I miss about not being at some of the stations that I have been before. But yeah, a morning show is a little bit different because there's nobody else in the building almost. It's
True.
You, the producer, the anchors, and maybe the
Production
TNT.
folks, yeah.
And that's all you got. And so you get to know them really well because you don't have anybody else to talk to other than your viewers. So it's really cool to have that relationship with those people. And you've gone through quite a few anchors in the mornings. Anybody in particular that you really miss?
Oh, yeah. Brian, he was great. Shelby Fenster was great. I mean, just all these. I've gone through so many. I'm just trying to think of some of the ones that I worked with the longest. So yeah, it was a lot of great people that we worked with in the past. So it's yeah, it's just I can't even a lot of the anchors I remember for sure, but the numerous reporters
Oh yeah.
and the producers have come and gone in those 27 years of doing the morning. You know, if you some of the names I don't remember because they were here so briefly, like maybe 6 months to a year. And if you showed me a picture, it says, "Oh yeah, I remember him or I remember her." But yeah, I mean, 27 years, you see a lot of people, you meet a lot of people, and you, like you said, you form a lot of good relationships.
You
Yep.
really do. All right, so we've talked about the cool stuff about doing weather. Let's talk about the not so cool stuff about doing weather. Yeah, there are a couple. There are a couple things, and we've seen an insurgence, I think, of social media posts of meteorologists, and this is something you probably haven't had to deal with primetime programming,
Uh-huh.
and some meteorologists break into because there's severe weather. There's severe weather. There is a need to let people know about what's going on, and you have to break in. You can't just break in for people in that polygon. You've got to break in for everybody. And
Yeah.
some people who are so far away from the storm get so upset and call the station and berate you and the staff and saying, I'm never going to watch again because you interrupted, Survivor or Dancing or whatever it may be.
Yeah, the season finale of something. Yeah,
And that's hard. It's
it is
hard to
difficult.
make those decisions because you know that people like it. But would you say that's the worst part of the job when people call you and don't understand you're trying to save other people's lives?
It's frustrating because a lot of those same people who are miles and miles away from the storm that are complaining that we're on too long and saying some of the same information over and over again. If we weren't on long enough when a storm threatened them or a tornado threatened them, they would be upset that we weren't on long enough to guide them through or help them through the storm. So, you and again, not all the viewers are like that. A lot, I would say, 85, 90% of the viewers understand. But you're right. You get those people who get upset, they get frustrated, and we understand that. But, if we were on real quick and got off, and they'd be happy, but then the next time something threatened them and they were scared or their family was scared, then they'd be doing, why did you just go on and, why aren't you still on? Why aren't you showing what's happening? When are you going to tell us the storm is moving out? So it's that kind of situation. You just kind of have to just kind of take it, and just say, yeah, well, this person will be happy the day we're focusing on that area.
Yeah. And I'll say this, though, like you said, sometimes you don't, because the severe threat is done, but there's still strong storms out there. You still have to get off the air. And that's where the resurgence of, not the resurgence, but the uptick in this technology, the streaming technology, has helped you do your job better because you're able to now come onto a stream, broadcast information. Yeah, that's not a severe storm. Could it potentially become severe? Well, we're not going to break into programming for just
Right.
not severe yet, or it's below severe levels, but you can still get it out there. And that's what's really cool about this technology is you can stream anytime.
Yeah, and that's also helping. As streaming becomes more and more popular, this is the type of situation for people who still need to follow the storm or still want more information.
Right.
We may not be covering that particular storm. Either it's moved off or it's weakened, or there may be more storms well off to our west. We could still go on and talk about it and focus, and then you can tune into the streaming and continue to follow that type of storm. So yes, streaming I think will help and has helped where we're not maybe on air as much as we maybe used to be.
Right.
And so that's a big help with that. Now, again, I think we're always, especially if there's going to be severe storms, tornadic thunderstorms that are threatening major cities like Lincoln or Beatrice or Seward or York or Grand Island, we're going to probably be on the air as well as streaming to cover those storms. So not that we don't want, not that we don't care about the lower populations, but that's where you can, stream and continue to follow the storms because we'll still be watching the storms and talking about them.
There's lots of information. There's a lot of decision making that goes into everything here, and Brad's a great person for this job. Now, one thing, we got a couple more comments here, and one person who actually knows you pretty well says, have you been listening to music before the 10 p.m. show like you always listen to music between the morning and noon shows? If so, what are you jamming out to?
The answer to that is yes. So I've come in a few times, and Bill Rentschler has been listening to his music. He immediately shuts his off because he knows that I'm in there and it's time to put my playlist on. No, but yeah, I still turn on some music. We kind of jam a little bit in the afternoon, a little bit in the evening as well. So yeah, I still do that. Most of what I listen to is just kind of a mix, kind of classic rock from the 60s, 70s. I mean, I think the playlist I've built right now has probably got about 800 songs.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a mixture of, Beatles, Stones, Led Zeppelin, stuff from the, David Bowie, stuff from the 80s, a little bit from the 90s and 2000s. But, yeah, so I'm just kind of a classic rock guy, basically.
All right. So we know that if you want to get anything for Brad for Christmas, it would be something that has to deal with classic rock.
The classic rock, that's right.
Sandy Anderson says, "Welcome, Brad," and that last comment was from Amber Little, our digital director here. So, of
Amber,
course,
yes.
But I love the question, even though she works here and she knows you well. It's probably
Yeah.
a little trinket that many people don't know about you, and I love those little trinkets that people don't know because it's all about getting to know you today.
It's actually interesting because I've only started doing that probably in the last 5 or 6 years. For the longest time, I just either watch what was on TV, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's not much on. I watch Animal Planet, search for Bigfoot or something like that. I mean, there's not that much great TV. And then we had a meteorologist that was just kind of. I came in and she was just kind of listening to tunes, and I liked what she was listening to, and I kind of said to myself, you know what? Why ain't I listening to some tunes?
Yeah.
I love music. So I just started listening to tunes, and that's only been going on for 5 or 6 years out of the 27 years that I was doing the morning.
I've also heard, and this was just from because my office actually sits above the studio, and every once in a while I'll look down and
Please don't tell me you're hearing me sing.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh boy.
100%.
Oh boy.
I hear every bit of it. Those windows are thick.
They're that
but
thin.
They're not thin. That's the thing. They're not thin at all.
They're not thin.
I
Oh
can
boy.
still hear you. And I'm always worried about, during a newscast if I'm too loud because I've got my TV on and I'm watching something in my office there. But I think somebody once told me, I think it was Ryan who once told me that you also have, or was it Bill? It doesn't matter. But one of them told me that you also do, is it Sudoku or is it a crossword puzzle?
Just crossword puzzle.
Crossword puzzle.
That's something relatively new that I've started as well. I mean, my mom did crossword puzzles for years and stuff like that. So, and I've never really got into them. I always found them frustrating. So I said, to keep my brain active, I think I'm going to start at least doing some crossword puzzles. And so I haven't, not New York Times. I'm not there yet. So I'm just kind of doing some simple ones just to kind of get into the flow of it. And then maybe someday I'll be ready to jump up to the New York Times.
The New York Times ones are very difficult.
They are. I've looked at a few of them and it's like, okay, I'm not going to do well on this one.
Well, I got to tell you, you're already off to a raving start because you are the first guest that I've had on the 10 shows that I've done here to ever get comments or questions on Facebook. And so obviously it was a good choice to bring Brad on, and we're so glad that you're here. All right. So before we move on to our next commercial break and then our last segment, is there anything else people should expect from you as chief meteorologist?
I don't think, the thing about it is as Ken did such a great job as far as communicating, especially during severe weather events and communicating weather. That formula is still the same for me. Mm-hmm. Just try to get the information out, get it out as simple as possible. Explain the situation, what's going on, and just, be there, when there are, especially some of the strongest storms and the severe storms. So that's, I don't think I'm going to deviate away from that type of formula as far as severe weather coverage. I mean, I may eventually, have some, different ideas. Like maybe I used to have a dog walking planner in the morning. Maybe I'll throw that in there, or maybe the bus stop forecast at 10 o'clock. So there may be some of the things I did in the morning that I can, put into the evening shows as well. So I think, over time I may kind of find some new ways to tell the weather story. But other than that, I don't think there's going to be any kind of radical change to the way we present the weather.
I've seen over the years some different ways to predict weather. I've seen the trash can indicator. I've seen the sunscreen indicator. I've seen what is it? I've seen it.
Well, we use the muggy meter.
Okay, yes, the muggy meter.
Yeah.
I've seen that one. I've just seen a whole bunch of different ways for people to share the weather. And I remember the hokey way back in the day when people were really trying to make weather when weather wasn't interesting because they lived in an area that didn't have a lot of weather.
Right.
So they would put on costumes and do funny skits and stuff like that.
Right.
That's not something we'll ever see come back to the airwaves, dude.
I doubt that. Yeah, this isn't Southern California, or they don't do anything, so they got to make it crazy. No, we'll still be serious. We'll still have some fun from time to time, but of course, when it comes down to the forecast and severe weather, we'll still be on the serious side for that.
Oh, you know what? I did notice something else, and this is something you always did a lot for, and that's the Humane Society. When they would
Yeah.
come on, you do their interviews and talk to them, and you're a huge supporter of the Humane Society. Now that you're in the evenings, you obviously can't do the morning show interviews that you had done with them. How are you going to continue your mission with the Humane Society?
Well, I told them, I've been honored to be able to MC their annual Ties and Tails dinner, which is a big fundraiser usually in the fall, and also their walk that they have every spring. I've been emceeing that for years. So I told them, just because I'm not doing the morning, if you still want me to do that, I would still like to participate with that. So, so I still plan to do that if they ask me back. And I certainly would like to do anything I can for them. I don't know if our news director will let us ever have a dog segment on the 5 o'clock show. I'm certainly for it. I advocate it, but we'll see how that happens. And, maybe something else can come up, over time that I could still maybe be a part of it, maybe showcase a dog or something like that, or a cat that needs a good home.
I love that. And when I was at Topeka, I was a big helper and volunteer for the Helping Hands Humane Society down there. And one day they came to the station. They brought a dog like they normally do for our 4 o'clock show, and they said, "This is Sean Wheat." I'm like, "What? This dog is named Sean Wheat?" Yes, we thought if we name a dog after you, it'll get adopted rather quickly. And sure enough, I put on social media the picture of that dog and the name they gave it without it being on the show. And by time they were on the show, somebody said they were already going to adopt it.
Oh,
I loved that. And I loved helping.
I do remember a few times that they did name some of the pets after me as well over the years. So,
all right, it's Humane Society. Get that done again. You got to get another Brad Anderson adopted, and we're adopting Brad Anderson on air here. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, as I said, I've got a little skit here that David Letterman did like some 15 years ago, and it's the top 5 things you never want to hear a meteorologist say. Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. We got that coming up here in just a minute. This is Lincoln. And welcome back to Lincoln. I'm Sean Wheat, along with my special guest co-host, Brad Anderson, the new Chief Meteorologist for 1011 News. And all right, I've got it all set up. He has no idea what I'm going to bring up. These are things that I am going to get his reaction to, because it's just a lot of fun to have fun with a meteorologist, especially when it comes to things they shouldn't say or things you do not want to hear them say. So these are the top 5 things, if I could get my button to work, top 5 things not to say as a meteorologist, okay?
All right.
So coming in at number 5 is oops. Nobody wants to hear meteorologists say oops.
Don't say oops. No.
Don't say oops. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
That's a good one. Yeah.
It is.
That's true.
Coming in at number 4, Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry, folks. That was yesterday's forecast. It's actually going to be pretty cruddy tomorrow. I guess that goes into the oops, right?
That is, yeah, that's an oops one.
I don't think with technology the way it is, you can't actually do that anymore. All right, coming in at number 3. Oh, just kidding, guys. No, we're not going to get that snow. We're not going to get that rain. It's actually going to be really, really cold tomorrow. Sorry, just kidding.
Yeah.
You never want to hear him.
Don't want to hear him say that. No.
This is actually one I stole from. I was working at a TV station in Southeast Kansas, and our meteorologist actually was on the David Letterman show for this exact one.
Okay.
And we'll probably have a 60% or a 30% chance of snow and rain showers mixture tomorrow. And I'm going to have a 100% chance of being blind, stinking drunk. No joke. He said it on David Letterman, but it was one of those, gags.
Uh-huh.
And then the last thing you never want to hear a meteorologist say, I was right. I told you so.
No bragging. That's right. No bragging. That's exactly right. That's all true right there.
All right. So there's the top 5 things you never want to hear a meteorologist say. Anything you want to add to that list? Because you are the meteorologist.
No, I think that's pretty good. I think those are some good guidelines that I will not say.
Yep,
I will not do that.
I mean, I'm a deliverer of information, and I've delivered the things you don't want Ken to say. Or, oh my gosh, I just said Ken.
Yeah.
You're going to get that a couple of times.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But you didn't want to hear Ken say, and you definitely don't want to hear Brad say. But I'm sure at some point there's going to be an oops in there once in a while.
I was going to say that out of all of the top 5 there might be an occasional oops. Now, that just might be because maybe I dropped the clicker or something like that. But I don't think it'll be anything too severe, too serious.
I really love the weather graphics whenever they pop up showing that the temperature in one location is in the triple digits, like 564 degrees.
Yes.
Oops. That's probably an oops.
That is an oops moment. That's where you maybe typed a little too fast and put a little extra number in there.
All right. Well, Brad, I have had an absolute great time having you on the show today. And is there anything else you want to tell all the folks of Lincoln and the surrounding areas about yourself, or you want to assure them about, or anything at all?
Well, I'm just very fortunate to be here. I mean, this job is what I've wanted to do since I was about 10 years old. And so I guess, the old question where they say, like, how's it going? And they say, living the dream. Well, I'm living the dream because this is my dream job. And I've been here at 1011 almost 30 years. In fact, it'll be 30 years in December that I started here. So it's been great. Lincoln's been a fantastic place to live, to raise my kids. Mm-hmm. And Nebraska's been a great place. So I just want to say thanks for watching 1011, watching the morning show all those years, and stick around. I think we'll still have some good times in the evening.
I'm so glad you said that, because the reason I moved to Lincoln, because I heard it was a great place, and I've lived here for a couple of years now. That's why I started the show, because I still don't know a lot about Lincoln. Mm-hmm. And connecting people in Lincoln with other people in Lincoln is what this show is all about. That's why it's called Lincoln. Mm-hmm. You can't see the TV screen behind me, but it's the whole entire point of it. So I appreciate that. And yeah, living the dream, loving Lincoln. My kids love Lincoln, and I have enjoyed it here. So I fully support that sentiment of how great this place is. So I'm looking forward to watching you in the evenings. I look forward to just hanging out and chatting with you, because every once in a while I'll find myself at the Weather Center talking about weather, because I'm a weather buff. I was a storm chaser for a long time, and I've done some forecasting. So I'm looking forward to getting to know you, because I saw you. Oh, as I said, I was spying on you from up above, the overlord of gray corporate, overlooking the small peons of, no, I'm kidding.
That's right.
But no, I've always enjoyed talking weather. So I did that a couple of times.
Cool.
And I've done that with Bill. And by the way, Bill, you stole him to do more weather, and I'm very upset about that, because he's done a great job. But I'm very excited about Jessica and Danielle doing more over here on this digital news desk. So we appreciate you being on today. And thank you to everybody who's commented. No real new comments except for Sean, who said, who decides on-air schedule? Could it change at all? Will staff be on streaming sites? And I guess the overall answer is, yeah, you're going to see everybody on the streaming sites.
At some point, yeah.
That's actually a directive from me at the corporate level. Everybody needs to be on streaming. So, all right, Brad, thank you so much. And
thank you, Sean.
Watch your weather forecast for this evening. All right, that's Lincoln for today. We'll be back in a couple of weeks where, again, Ken, you said either the 7th or the 21st. I'm holding you to it. I'm sure he's not even paying any attention to anything we're saying because he's retired and playing golf and probably taking a nap right now.
It could be. That's right.
All right, this is Lincoln. Have a good one, folks. Really appreciate you being here, and we will see you next time.
Ten 11 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News.